Hello, I'm Janet Butler. I'm the CEO and President of Community Systems. We're putting out there this video to make sure that as we make the personnel policy changes that are about to be implemented in November, that each employee has the opportunity to hear why the changes are happening, how that's going to affect people, and how we're going to roll this out. So we need to start first with talking about the Department of Labor ruling. The Department of Labor has had a ruling for many years that said employees are entitled to be paid minimum wage, and if they work more than 40 hours a week, they're entitled to be paid time and a half for those hours. What they have within that ruling is some categories of employees who could be exempt. The exempt employees in our world will fall under either executives, administrative, or professional. And in those exemptions, what it says is that if you pay a person $913 at least each week, and they meet the other duties tests of their responsibilities, then they can be exempt from that overtime ruling, and actually the minimum wage ruling. We hope to never be faced with that. So what it means is, if I am in a position, an executive position, and my responsibilities are to truly run my business. I have a division of the organization that I am responsible for all aspects of that. The hiring, the scheduling, the management, the oversight, the evaluating of staff. I count in that executive exemption. If I'm a professional exemption, I am a person who is potentially an RN, who earns above that salary cap of $913. I have learned something I went to college for. I have an advanced degree, education, and I have a professional judgment that is above what you see in the regular workforce. The third category that we may see in our world would be an administrative category that also can have a level of exemption from that overtime rule. So we had to look at a number of things when we looked at trying to roll out these changes. The significant change to this that affected us was anyone who was in the program director, manager position, any of those exempt spots, would now have to be brought to a salary level of $913 a week at a minimum. In the past, the ruling said if you paid people $455 a week, they could count within that category. So it means that we had to take a look at that, and we had to take a look at how do we roll this out and how do we implement it. I want to say emphatically, there is nothing about this that CSI has done as a cost-saving measure. In fact, rolling out the changes that we are doing to these 9 personnel policies and how we pay exempt staff is costing this organization more than $1.4 million. So we had to figure out, how do we get all of our policies in line? How does this make sense? And how do we really follow what the rules say? Now, in the past, when we gave management, we gave salaried people comp time, or we paid if you worked extra, quote, direct care shifts. We were able to do that, and we did that because we felt we weren't paying people at a truly professional level. And we wanted to make sure that people were compensated in some way for that. As we're moving salaries up, we now feel that we are in that level, and we feel that is a very positive thing for those executive professional staff. But we also have to get a handle on the other things that go with that. In the past, you heard about hourly employees and salaried employees. That's not the language you're going to be using anymore. We're going to be using that you're an exempt employee or you are a non-exempt employee. And every job description will have tied to it whether or not this job description and whether or not these responsibilities are non-exempt or exempt. For people who are non-exempt, they will be paid their hourly salary. They have to be paid at least minimum wage. We don't worry about that. All of our salaries are well above that. And in any given work week, a non-exempt employee who works more than 40 hours a week will be paid time and a half for those hours. There really is nothing about what we're doing that is affecting those non-exempt employees. The second category, the people that we really used to talk about as salaried employees, are your exempt employees. And there are changes to how we look at that. One of the changes is by taking in the true substance of the DOL ruling, by saying, I am trusting you to manage a division of our organization. You need to be paid at that professional level, which we are doing, and you need to ensure that you are running that business and you are doing that. And you will do that in whatever hours it takes to get that job done. If you can get your job done in 30 hours a week every week, you will still get your full salary. If every week you have to work 70, 80 hours, you will get that same salary. Regardless of what you see your responsibilities or your tasks during that time that you're working. In the past, we also looked at managers a little bit different in saying, sometimes you're a manager, sometimes we're going to treat you as direct support. The reality is there aren't two hats. You wear one hat. That one hat is that you are responsible to manage that support program and everything that goes with it. You are responsible to know the people you support. You're responsible to know what their plans are, what their goals are, to work with the team, to hire, to build a team, to supervise your staff, to oversee the operations at all levels, how those staff are working on the overnight shift, how people are documenting things. Are folks truly implementing, understanding, and committed to the mission? You are responsible all the time to be a manager. There is no time that you take that manager hat off and you become somebody else. Because regardless of what you're doing, that responsibility is your responsibility. So we have to get away from where somehow we got into this mode that we divided people. This is me in one role, this is me in another role. The primary people that this is going to affect is program directors, team leaders, and program managers. So we really need to support folks as we go into these first few weeks of implementing these changes to make sure it isn't chaotic, to help people to truly understand what it is that we need to do. We've already looked at salaries. We've looked at some managers that may need to become hourly managers. They will not be in the exemption. They're people who may manage a one-person support or a two-person supports. They don't meet that criteria either for the salary level or for the duties test to really be out there and be qualified as exempt. So those people are there. Some office people are also being reclassified, maintenance people, because they don't meet that duties test. They're not supervising other people. They don't have independent judgment to say, hey, I'm sending this person home because I feel that they're unfit to work today and things like that. So we've had to take a look at that, and we've had to reevaluate some of the other people. I think some of the things that you're going to see change are really the payrolls. How do we pay people? So in these changes, there are 9 personnel policies that are going to be affected. And attached to this video is an explanation of those 9 and the 9 policies that are changing. Attached to this video is also an explanation of how we're going to deal with payroll going forward and some frequently asked questions, or questions we anticipate are going to be asked. Where are things going to be different? Where are things going to be confusing? You know, one of the key things is how we treat how you work and when you work. It is important that everybody have a consistent base schedule that is in the Chronos system. And that is how we're going to be looking at this. Realistically, underneath the DOL stuff, we don't even have to be tracking hours. But we have to track your hours because our funders say we have to. Licensing says we have to. The state auditors say we have to. We need to justify that we're getting this money to support people, and we are the people there when we said we were going to. But what's going to change is different times that the schedule does fluctuate. So if I'm a manager who typically has a schedule that is a 5-day-a-week schedule, and in a given week, for some reason, I work 4 hours each of my 5 days for a total of 20 hours that week. I didn't take any full days off, I just worked reduced days. When I do that, I continue to get my full salary for that week. There is no earned leave used. There is no reduction in my hours. I get my full salary as an exempt employee. If I'm a person who works 12 hours that week, but I work part of every one of my 5 days, I get my full salary. Where it changes is if I take a full day off. So I'm a 5-day-a-week employee. I schedule and take a full day off. I am required to use earned leave for that full day off, regardless of what other hours I work within that week. So when you look at this, you should be having a balance out of how this happens. If I am as a exempt employee who works 70 hours that week for whatever reason, I still get my base salary. There is no additional time off and there is no additional salary. So it's important that those changes be kept in mind as we manage our supports and we look at things. There are also other policies if a person is on FMLA, if a person is using the birthday benefit, the holidays, things like that, that you need to look at those explanations and you need to understand it going forward. So what we really need to take a look at is, how do you manage your supports? How do you get this under control so you don't feel like you're sinking all the time, etc.? And we really hope that by putting this into a balance, that our employees have a better work-life balance as well. We have many, many managers who are able to do this and do it well. They very seldom work more than 40 hours in a given week. They very seldom have to fill in a lot. They have kept their programs staffed. They support and manage their staff. They hold regular staff meetings. They nurture their staff. They understand their schedule. They understand what's driving that schedule. They understand their matrix, and they understand their budget. When you have a handle on that, you have a better chance that this is going to flow well as a good, sound business. We are handing you a business that can operate on X amount of money. Let's say that amount of money is $350,000. That means that's all you have to spend. You need to understand what the matrix is that ties to that $350,000. You need to understand how that matrix turns into a schedule. How do you plan for the unexpected? Because in our world, the unexpected is expected. So we have to plan for that. We have to make sure that we're ready for that. You need to make sure that you are operating within that budget, because you can't have a business that we're being handed $350,000 to run and spend $450,000. That's not how we can operate. So you need to truly become educated on how you operate this business. If you are uncomfortable with interpreting your budget, you need to talk to your business manager. You need to talk to whoever your supervisor is. If you are uncomfortable with financial statements, if you're uncomfortable with how I manage my staff, how do I fill those vacancies? You know, we hear all the time that this happened because I had so many vacancies, but yet I look back and those are the people that I'm also hearing, she's had an application for 3 weeks and she didn't fill the position. She didn't even call the person back. So we're looking at truly upgrading our managers to have the responsibilities we should always have been trusting them with, to pay them a reasonable salary that makes that a reasonable expectation, and to support you to be successful in managing your program, your business, without it taking over your life. So I'm asking you to please make sure that you take a look at those changes, take a look at the handouts that are out there, ask the questions. Don't stop and wing it. Make sure you understand what's happening here. This truly is the way that we had to move with this business. It is the way that we have to look at managing the resources we had to come into line with the Department of Labor ruling. And also to make sure that we are being fair to everybody out there. So read through the handouts, make sure you understand before we roll these changes out what it is, how exempt employees are expected to log their time, how we need to be working within the Chronos system to justify time, to make sure the schedules are there, and to make sure that we really have a handle on how we operate a business. So reach out to the right people when you're asking questions, and we will revisit all of these policies over the next 3 months to make sure that we have addressed everything that we need to, and to make sure we don't have a runaway train with overtime. So good luck with this. I truly appreciate your patience and understanding as we make this happen. And have a great day.